How can Louisiana's defense improve in 2026? Let's talk all about it here on Ragin Rundown. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Ragin Rundown, the show where you will know all things Cajuns, all the time. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz. And in today's episode, we will be talking all about the defense. Louisiana football is entering their third week of fall camp practices. The first 2 weeks we have focused heavily on the offense, primarily because of the storylines that have happened with the receiver room and the injuries that they've been dealing with, but also because there was a lot that happened last season on the offensive side, from the quarterback competition to now the two leading rushers that you had that are no longer with the program, that have transferred out, all of these different storylines that we've been adjusting with the offensive line, things of that nature. Today, we're talking about the defense and something that they looked at last season, how they weren't as effective as what they wanted to be, particularly in the run game and also in the pass rush. So last season, as we know, Louisiana finished the season 6-7. They dealt with injury, but ultimately, defensively, they still had a lot of guys that played extremely well as a whole. Obviously, we know Jaden Duggar was the star of that defense, who's now a 49er, and kudos to him. He led your team in tackles with 125 tackles. He had 4 sacks and 13 tackles for loss, and of course, and also an interception, which got him an opportunity to go to the NFL. But overall, as a pass rushing unit, Louisiana wasn't one of the best. If you look at last season's overall statistics, and we're talking about defensive stats as I'm trying to pull it up, the total sacks that they had last season was 23, which was 10th in the Sun Belt. And overall in the country, it was 91st, just in behind Cincinnati, tied for 91st, right in behind Cincinnati, right above Northwestern and TCU. So somewhere near the bottom of the pack when it comes to getting to the quarterback, and near the bottom of the Sun Belt in that same regard. Above them was ULM that had one more sack in 24, then Texas State with 27, Marshall with 29, App State with 29, Southern Miss with 30, James Madison with 36, Troy with 37, Arkansas State with 39, and then Old Dominion tying for first with Arkansas State with 39 as well. Below Louisiana was Coastal, Georgia State, South Alabama, and Georgia Southern. So obviously there is more to the game than just acquiring sacks. It's just a big portion that can help make things harder for opposing offenses. When you get to the quarterback and you can get a 5 to 10 yard loss, that puts them behind the chains, that puts more pressure on them to now be in third and long situations, to ultimately allow you to get off the field and get the football back into the hands of your offense. So earlier this week, we talked with defensive coordinator Jim Salgado about what he believed it will take for this defense to get more sacks, and here's what he had to say.
I think the finish part of it, right? I'm not sure. I wouldn't say it's a personnel thing. We've had some pretty good players around here that were going after the quarterback, but it's more so understanding the animal that you're hunting as well. Quarterbacks in college football right now, I don't care what school you're at, they can move, right? Most of them. There's no statues back there anymore, really. So you got to understand when I'm going to get that quarterback, even if he doesn't see you, some of these guys have a nice, like a sixth sense, like they feel you out of the corner of their eye, right? And I got to know, I got to be under control so that I can finish the play instead of I'm full speed and all of a sudden now at the last second, boom, they spin out, right? My man from Arkansas State, he's gone, which is good. But we always joke around about that with those guys, like, hey, we got to know who you're hunting so that you can finish the play, right? Don't just get all excited. He don't see you coming. Like, these guys, they know. So we need to do a better job of that, I would think, the most from when I get there, how am I going to finish on this guy? And those are the things that we've been working on out on that field, and how we get there, how I shorten my stride and drop my pad level, all the little things that come into play when you're trying to tackle somebody like that.
Everything that Coach Salgado was talking about is truly important. Yes, you want to, get pressure on the quarterback, but it doesn't matter if all you're able to do is just get there. You want to be able to finish the play. And, he talked about the quarterback at Arkansas State, Jalen Rayner, who's no longer with the with the Red Wolves. But outside of him, I mean, there were a ton of slippery quarterbacks that Louisiana faced off against this past season. Jalen Rayner was one of them. Braylon Braxton, who's now gone, obviously. Then you think about Carlos Del Rio Wilson, who is the Sun Belt preseason player of the year. How difficult he was to battle against in the Marshall game, right? An effective quarterback. You think about Aiden Armenta, who was really, really good for ULM. Tucker Kilcrease is obviously no longer with Troy, but he gave you a lot of problems being able to scramble around. So it's going to be really, really important for this defense to focus in on the fundamentals, which Coach Salgado is really big on, and trying to make sure that they can be able to finish those plays. He mentioned about, because I think the question came from Kevin Foote asking, was it a personnel thing or is it more a technical thing? And obviously, they don't have as many of the players that helped to lead the pass rushing charge as what they had last season. Last season, your leading sack leader was Jordan Lawson with 5. After that, it was Jaden Duggar with 4, Jalen Kreider with 2, and then Fitzgerald West with 2. So Fitz is back. Then after that, it's Terrence Williams, gone. Tyree Skipper, 1, gone. Cortland Flowers, 1 sack, gone. Cameron Whitfield, 1 sack, gone. Trey Tomlinson, 1 sack, gone. Caleb Cabote, 1 sack, gone. Maxie Bowen is back. Drennan Fight, 1 sack, gone. Jake St. Andre, half a sack. He's back. Marion Ilium, half a sack. He's back. Colin Jacob, half a sack. He's back. Kadarius Miller, half a sack. He's gone. So a vast majority of the guys that you relied on for your pass rush from last season are no longer with the program, right? But when you look at what Louisiana has, what we've talked about in previous episodes, they have guys that have been waiting in the wings and have been waiting for their opportunities. A Lance Williams, a Priest Ash, a Jeremiah Holtz, a Chase Edwards, Ashley Williams at that jack position, Notori Brown, who looks like an absolute freak. Like we were talking about it in the media, how physically built he looks. But then you also talk about a transfer player in Tito Chikure, who came into you from East Texas A&M Commerce and was a phenomenal pass rusher. But now he is more going to be a part of that jack position where he has the responsibility similar to what Cam Whitfield was, which is rushing the passer, but also depending on what type of, schemes that the offense is running, he would have to drop in coverage as well. And so he leaned a lot on Cam Whitfield through his recruiting process that they grew up together. They were both from the Houston area. And so he leaned a lot on him during his recruiting process. And now that he's here, he's had the opportunity to look over the film from last season. And he truly believes that things are going to be a lot different with him a part of this defense and with what they have collectively up front to be able to get to the quarterback more often.
One of my closest friends, Cam Whitfield, he just transitioned from this program. But, just really watching him, in his role on the team last year, it's really going to take, man, just being a force in the pass rush, knowing your assignment, and, all 11 play on the same, string on the same accord. Last year we had a lot of missed tackles that I was seeing. A lot of times it would be like a lot of missed coverages, and it's like that's like a communication issue. But I really feel like, man, we can talk to one another. We've been doing, tackling circuits ever since I got here, ever since like the winter conditioning. So I really feel like, man, we gonna have it straightened out come season.
He believes it. Coach Salgado is emphasizing it. The Cajuns have ample opportunity to be able to get to the quarterback. And if you go back and listen or watch the scrimmage recap that I did after their first scrimmage on Friday, I did a recap episode that you can check out. Tito Chikure was one of the guys that got to the quarterback. during that scrimmage. Obviously, he wasn't able to take them down, but it was clear cut. A full beeline at the quarterback, plays blown dead, right? Being very disruptive. And one of the things that they're going to continue to have to do is to be able to be disruptive so that way they can affect the quarterback, slow down offenses, and ultimately get off the field. The second aspect to their defense is stopping the run game. And Louisiana wasn't at their best in those regards in 2025. And when we come back, we're going to discuss more about how important it's going to be to be able to stop the run for the success of the Ragin' Cajuns defense when we return here on Ragin' Rundown. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Ragin' Rundown. We're going to get back into the action in just a second. But before we do, if you are watching this episode on YouTube, thank you so much. Please do me a favor. Please like it, share it, and leave a comment down below. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're listening, please follow the podcast feed, rate the show, and leave us a review because that's going to help us get in front of more Ragin' Cajun fans just like yourself. In 2025, the Ragin' Cajuns defense in the run game was not good, candidly. They just weren't. They allowed 186 rushing yards per game last season. That ranked them 116th in the country, near the bottom. The Cajuns allowed more than 100 rushing yards in 12 of their 13 games, including 3 opponents surpassing 200 yards. One of them was the Missouri game when Ahmad Hardy went crazy and rushed for like 250 yards. 9 individual players that Louisiana went against eclipsed the 100-yard rushing mark last season. So, like we talked about, they have a lot of players that are back. But again, when you think about being disruptive in the run game, you're either getting short yardage or tackles for loss. And again, when you look at that stat sheet from last season, Jaden Duggar led you in tackles for loss. He's gone. Excuse me. Jordan Lawson led you in tackles for loss. He's gone. Then Jaden Duggar, then Cortland Flowers, then Jalen Kreider, then Terrence Williams, then Ashley Williams, who's back, Jake St. Andre, who's back, Kadarius Miller, Fitzgerald West. 3 guys near the top that are back. Then you have Marion Iliam with 1.5, Colin Jacob with 1.5, Cam Whitfield, who's gone, Chase Edwards with 1.5. So to that point, a lot of, again, the pieces that you had that were your star power or your featured players that helped you whenever a play needed to be made are not a part of the defense this season. And so you have a lot of young guys and a lot of guys that have been waiting for their opportunities to get in that we mentioned earlier in the episode, waiting for their chance to be able to go out and help to stop the run. So we asked Coach Salgado about what it's going to take for them to stop the run game, and here was his answer.
So at some point, somebody's got to, BSU, blow stuff up, in short, right? And be able to take on a block and shed somebody, right? And make us look good at times because those are the type of things that happen. And then you also have the runs, right? Problem plays where you're getting what? A running back going this way, lineman going that way, and a quarterback who can also keep the ball. So you got 3 things going on. We were just working on that, right? And there's a lot going on, right? If I'm a linebacker, right? We talk about our linebackers get downhill. Well, now all of a sudden you got this, and lineman going another way. So now the schematical part of it is all right, who's responsible for what? Those were some of the things that college offenses and it's gotten into pro football as well. Those are the things that you got to try to get really good at, and you got to be on the same page, right, everybody? So we've been working on that because it shows up, through our cut-ups from last year, and those are things that we've worked on through the spring and in the summer and now in camp. So because we know we'll see it week 1. It's coming. I mean, there's not one guy on that defense doesn't think that will not show up on day 1.
So you got to be able to BSU, blow stuff up, which I know it's something else, but that's the PG version of it. So you've got to be disruptive, first of all. You've got to be able to shed the blocks and just go and make a play. You got to be a football player. And then also, like he said, you have to be schematically in sync with each other. So what he's talking about is football 101, 201, whatever you would like to call it, if the offense is running a zone read type of scheme, that means they're leaving somebody unblocked and they are keying in on whatever they do. And based on what they do is how they will react. So say they leave a defensive end unblocked, they'll block everybody in the box except that end. The quarterback will mesh with the running back and they will make a decision. If the defensive end kind of just sits there and waits, he'll hand it off to the running back, and the running back has the opportunity to either take it within the flow of the run game, or he can bend it back and hit that gap where the open space is that the defensive end has left. If the defensive end is crashing down and is trying to play run game, which typically good defenses will do that, then the quarterback has the opportunity to pull it and run. But where offenses have gotten even more elite and have expanded more is sometimes they'll have a receiver standing out in the alley, and the quarterback will pull it, and now a linebacker is coming down to hit him in the mouth, and he'll dump it off for a quick bubble screen. So you have multiple facets that are happening on the offensive side. And so to his point, everyone has to be in sync. So if you're the defensive end, you got to squeeze down, you got to play the running back. If you're the linebacker, you got to scrape over the top, you got to hit the quarterback in his mouth. And if you're the DB in the alley, you got to go shed your block, or if you're one-on-one, then you have to break down and make the tackle. That's the only way that you can stop it. And to his point, because they struggled with some of those things last season, they're going to see that. They're going to see it against Lamar. They're going to see it against USC. They're going to see it against Charlotte. They're going to see it against Arkansas State until they can prove that they can stop the run, whether that's in the conventional way where you're just handing it off, or if it's in the option game. Until they're able to show that, offenses will continue to do that. And, obviously you can have an explosive offense, which I believe the Cajuns offense will still have some explosive playmaking abilities despite some of the guys that they have injured right now. I think, like I've talked about before, I think Sheldon Sampson's ready for week 1. Landon Strother will be back later in the season for you, but you still have a ton of playmakers around him. Regardless, you have to have quality defense to complement that offense. Because if they go and score 50, but you give up 51, you lost the game. Defensively, they have to go and do their job. So this staff has been working hard. Coach Salgado, Dennis Thomas, Scott Stoker, Jeff Bird, all the list goes on of all of the assistant coaches, everybody on that defense is working to, first of all, be able to stop the run and then be able to get off the field on third downs by potentially creating third and long situations, getting to the quarterback, and getting sacks. And for those of you that are at home that wonder whether or not defense truly relates to championships, I decided to go back. And the last time that Louisiana won a championship was in 2021. In 2021, Louisiana was the number 1 defense in the Sun Belt. They gave up 14.6 points per game. Other defensive statistics, they led the Sun Belt in sacks with 39 throughout the year. They led the Sun Belt in fumbles recovered with 13. And so when you think about those things, the old saying is that defense wins championships, and that's a direct correlation proven by that number. Obviously, it was a different staff, different personnel, all those things like that. Regardless, if this defense can come out and can stop the run and can affect the quarterback, Louisiana has all the tools that they need to go out and win a championship. That's going to wrap up this episode of Ragin' Rundown, guys. If you've made it to this point in the episode, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. Please do me a favor. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please like it, share it, and comment. But most importantly, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're listening, please follow the podcast feed, rate the show, and leave us a review because that's going to help us get in front of more Ragin' Cajun fans just like yourself. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time.